Hello everyone, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In this video, we will see about the insurgency that is present in Northeast, to be specific in the state of Manipur. From past few days, you are aware of the armed conflict that is happening between Russia and Ukraine. For some time, we will look at such an armed conflict in the borders, that is in the Northeast, that is in Manipur. Recently, the Home Minister, when he was speaking at the election campaign, he said that the BJP government, if voted to power, would end the insurgency in Manipur. Okay, this is the reason why we will discuss something about the insurgency and the armed conflict in Manipur. How big is the insurgency threat in Manipur? This is today's article in the Indian Express newspaper. In 2021, to be precise, 14th November 2021, during the insurgency conflict, the armed men killed the family of the commanding officer who belonged to Assam Rifles. At that point of time, this particular news made a very big headlines and it was a cause of concern. Okay, it was an indication that the armed insurgency in the Northeast is active and it threatens the internal security. So this particular discussion will become a part of your GS3 under internal security. You can expect a question in your mains examination. In general, let's look at the reasons for such insurgency in Northeast. Okay, when we talk about the insurgency, we would classify it as a left-wing extremism in the mainland India that is spread around Jharkhand, Odisha and Chhattisgarh, and also Northeast insurgency. And the reasons for both of these insurgencies are very different. Okay, remember, reasons are not the same, it is very different. Here we will just discuss the reasons for Northeast insurgency as such. Why is there the armed conflict in the Northeast part of India? First one, physiographic constraints. You all are aware of the terrain that is present and also thick evergreen forest that is present in the Northeast India. Okay, this has led to many problems in order to tackle the armed conflict. Second one, geographical isolation of the region. You all are very much aware of something called as Chicken's Neck, which is a tiny part of land that connects mainland India with Northeast India. This is the only land route that the mainland India has within the Northeast. Because of the terrain and thick evergreen forest, most of the Northeast region has been geographically isolated. And because of such geographical isolation, we have gaps in the governance. Okay, because we have gaps in the governance, and also there are economic backwardness or relative economic deprivation as such. Okay. Here you can look at one issue or one problem, that is physiographic constraints is leading to many problems, like the governance gap and also relative economic deprivation when compared to the southern states like Tamil Nadu and Karnataka. Okay, when compared to Tamil Nadu and Karnataka, the northeastern states are relatively deprived when it comes to governance and also economic opportunities. There is a wide communication gap. Because of the terrain, we are not able to set up communication infrastructure in the Northeast region, and there are ethnic differences. This forms one of the major factor when we talk about the insurgency in the mainland India and also Northeast. This is something that is very important, ethnic differences or ethnic conflicts. Let's understand the meaning of insurgency as such. What do you mean by insurgency and how is it different from terrorism? Insurgency means armed rebellion against the authority by small lightly armed bands who practice guerrilla warfare. These are the features of insurgency. For example, that is small, it is irregular, and it has a rural base, and also the insurgency practices guerrilla warfare. When it comes to the terrorism as such, terrorism does not practice guerrilla warfare. Now recently we have seen something called as urban centric terror activities, and also which can be called as civilian centric terror activities. Okay, terror activities are not just limited to border areas and the army bases as such. Now we have the penetration of terror activities into the urban areas. We have bomb blasts, and also they're targeted towards civilians. This is the difference between insurgency and terrorism. In this map, you would see 7 sisters, that is 7 states of Northeast. When it comes to the mapping, in UPSC prelims examination, questions on maps are being asked extensively. So you need to be aware of the location. Okay, when it comes to Assam, this is Assam, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, and this is Tripura. When we talk about Manipur as such, look at the states that border Manipur. Okay, there are 3 states. One is Nagaland, Assam, and Mizoram. And also towards the east, Manipur borders Myanmar. Okay, Manipur borders Myanmar. These are the 3 states that are bordering Manipur. Okay, talk about Assam. What are the Indian states that border Assam? Okay, look at the map. You have Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura, and Meghalaya. Here, this particular part, Assam has also borders with West Bengal. This is how you prepare maps. Okay, when it comes to the mapping point of view, that is with respect to prelims examination, this is how you relate current affairs with the static part. Here, in this chart, you will see the important insurgency groups that are active in Northeast India. First one is very important one, ULFA. You would have heard this name in many of the news content or in the daily newspapers. ULFA, United Liberation Front of Assam, very important and very active group. Okay, when it comes to Manipur, we have 2 groups, that is PLA, People Liberation Army, and also UNLF. Okay, we will talk about UNLF in brief. UNLF, United Nation Liberation Front. It is said that the insurgency in Manipur started by UNLF. Okay, insurgency in Manipur started by United Nation Liberation Front of Manipur. When it comes to Meghalaya, you have HNLC, and when it comes to Nagaland, we have the famous group, that is NSCN, National Socialist Council of Nagaland. These are the few important insurgent groups that are active in the northeast part of India. If question demands you to name some of these organizations, you should be aware of this. Okay, these are very important and you should be aware of this. Rise of insurgency in Manipur. Okay, what led to the rise of insurgency in Manipur? First one, Manipur was incorporated as an Indian territory just after independence, but it was given the status of statehood much later. See here, it started because of the forced merger of Manipur with the Union of India and the subsequent delay in granting it full-fledged statehood. This is what happened. Kingdom of Manipur was merged with India in 1949 and it became a state only in 1972. Okay, almost 23 years after it was incorporated as a part of India, Manipur got the status of the statehood. The emergence of insurgency in Manipur dates back to 1964 with the formation of UNLF. We talked about this, United Nation Liberation Front of Manipur. In the year 1964, when UNLF was formed, the insurgency in Manipur started. You might think UNLF was started in the year 1964, but in the year 1972, Manipur was granted the status of statehood. But why is the insurgency continuing till now? Okay, this might be the obvious question. Let's see. NSCN, which we talked about, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, is demanding for something called as Greater Nagalim. Okay, remember this, Nagaland, NSCN is demanding for Greater Nagalim, which will include the territories belonging to Assam, Arunachal Pradesh and Mizoram. Okay, some of the territories belonging to these states in the present day are being demanded to become a part of something called as Greater Nagalim. This is the demand of an insurgent group called as National Socialist Council of Nagaland. And in Manipur, there are two areas, that is hill area and the valley area. Hill area contributes to 90% of its area and it is very sparsely populated. But when it comes to the valley area, it is just 10% of the area, but it is very densely populated. Okay, and also that we spoke of the reasons, when we speaking about the reasons for insurgency, we also spoke of a factor called ethnic differences, and the ethnic differences are something that is holding on the insurgency in Manipur. Meitei community forms the majority in the valley, that is near Imphal, which is the capital of Manipur, while the surrounding hill districts are incorporated or inhabited by Nagas and Kukis. Okay, now you can see there are three major tribal communities belonging to Manipur. One is Meitei, other one is Naga, the third one is Kuki. And the ethnic differences between these three communities is the reason for the emergence of insurgency in Northeast. In 1980, the center declared, when there was an insurgency between these three tribal communities and the ethnic conflicts, what did the central government do in 1980? It declared the entire Manipur state as a disturbed area under AFSPA, that is Armed Forces Special Powers Act. This will give extensive powers to armed forces in order to carry out search operations and also arrest anybody without a warrant. Okay, it gives extensive powers to armed forces. When 1980, the central government enforced AFSPA, people of Manipur started feeling relative deprivation, and there were also the evidences of human rights violation by the army personnel. In early 1990s, the ethnic clashes between the Nagas and the Kukis led to the formation of several Kuki insurgent groups. This is something that I told you already, ethnic conflicts that has given rise to or that has sustained the insurgency in the Northeast. That is Nagas and the Kukis, the conflict between Nagas and the Kukis started giving rise to many insurgent groups that demanded separate state back then, but now they are just demanding a separate territorial council with some amount of autonomy. We have seen this already. Will end insurgency if voted to power. Amit Shah's assurance from the Kuki heartland in Manipur. The Home Minister is of the view that if given a chance, then the BJP government will take all the measures in order to end the insurgency in Manipur. Let's see what are the steps taken by the government in order to curb the insurgency in Northeast? First one, strengthening the ADC, that is autonomous district council. Autonomous district council, you will study this as a part of polity when you are discussing 5th and 6th schedule. Okay, this will be covered in the static syllabus. What do you mean by autonomous district council? Why is it important? And why are we speaking about strengthening the autonomous district council in order to counter the insurgency as such? You will understand what is the autonomy given to autonomous district council so that they can function efficiently. As of now, just know, if we strengthen the autonomous district council and ensure their effective functioning, we would be having a first step towards fighting the insurgency. Second one, economic development and employment creation should become the priority of the government in order to fight the economic deprivation and also gaps in the governance. Bridging the gap in the governance and strengthening local self-government. Okay, usually what the insurgent groups carry out is they assassinate the local politician or the Gram Panchayat member. These are the people who are very easy targets, so that there's a vacuum that is being created when it comes to governance, and this is said to be a win situation for the insurgent groups. In order to counter this, government has to bridge the gaps in governance, and in order to secure these Gram Panchayati members, we need to step up the security. And also intelligence gathering. This is something that should be done. Next one, infrastructure for the communication has to be set up, and the people of the Northeast should not be differentiated, rather than they should be treated as a part of the entire mainland India. There should be mediation that is happening between the insurgent groups and the government, and there should also be a channel for negotiation. The last one, Samadhan scheme has been launched by the government in order to curb left-wing extremism and also rehabilitate the insurgent groups. Okay, rehabilitate the insurgent groups and inculcate them into the mainstream society. This is something called as Samadhan portal, very important. This can also become a part of your prelims question. Samadhan scheme that was launched recently by the government of India is related to, okay, first option will be to console women. Second option would be in order to fight left-wing extremism. Third one, to incentivize taxpayers. And the fourth option would be none of the above. Okay, you will be inclined to mark option C and option A as the correct answer, because these two sounds similar, but the actual answer would be to fight left-wing extremism. Let's see this mains question for 15 marks. Okay, what is insurgency? What are the reasons for insurgency in Northeast region? Analyze the initiatives taken by the Indian government to check insurgency in Northeast. Okay, you are expected to write the India map here. You are expected to write India map when asked such kind of a question, and by writing the India map, you have to explain the reasons for insurgency. First, define insurgency. We have discussed this. What are the reasons for insurgency in the Northeast region? One of the major reasons that we have discussed is ethnic differences. Analyze the initiatives taken by the Indian government to check insurgency in Northeast region. We have talked about some 5 to 6 steps that are taken or that should be taken in order to curb the insurgency in Northeast region. If the Northeast is peaceful, then we can have more connect towards the eastern part of India, or the eastern part of the globe as such. For example, Northeast is a gateway for our relationship with Myanmar and also ASEAN. Okay, this is the reason why we are working more towards prosperity in the Northeast and also developing businesses in Northeast. Okay, I hope you have liked the video. For more such enriching content, please subscribe to Legacy IAS Academy. Have a nice day. Thank you.